What's happening, everybody? The Poets here. I hope you're doing well and staying safe. And today's video is a continuation of this AM5 build process. And so we've done videos of applying the CPU water block. This is the Thermaltake W7 Plus on the Ryzen 9 5950X. We talked about the features of this MSI Meg X670E Ace motherboard. It's a beast. It's such a beast that it even has its own like solid backplate type of thing. Yeah, it's nice. Now, when I was browsing the interwebs, Reddit in particular, today I noticed a couple of posts of people having shown that their motherboards literally caught fire, scorch marks on the motherboards. And both of them actually had the same exact reason as to why it happened. And so it's one of those things where I didn't even think about making a video of this nature, but there's always somebody new to the world of PC building, and it's an honest mistake. You know, if you don't know, and things can happen. So since we were basically at this point of putting the motherboard in the PC case, I thought, hey, let's go ahead and make a video about this. So now what I'm going to do is show you a more easy way of seeing what I'm talking about. There's a lot of PC cases out there, and many of them don't have like a removable area like this. Basically, you're just putting the motherboard in the PC case and you're kind of like getting all inside and all that stuff. Yeah, most of us have been there. Something like this is nice because it's more of an open format, and this is actually by Thermaltake. This is just part of the PC case, so I'm gonna leave the rest of the PC case for another video. But in this format, you're gonna be able to see that, hey, there's standoffs here, right? It's actually what they're called. And they do unscrew, right? Because in a case like this, in many cases, you can actually install different size motherboards, right? So a common size is ATX, and then there's eATX, there's smaller, there's larger, all kinds of stuff, but there's no real, to get too technical, there's no real size standard. It's an estimation. Like this is about an eATX style of motherboard, but motherboard manufacturers have a lot of wiggle room in terms of what size they want. But the screws are going to be very similar. So you're going to have ITX, ATX, micro ATX. You're going to have all kinds of different sizes for this particular PC case. So you can actually have these little standoffs positioned wherever you need them. So a lot of times when you have these options, these things are just going to be in a little baggie. Therefore, you need to actually put them on. And I think in the two pictures that I saw today, they didn't put these on because the motherboards were actually flush against the metal here. And when you have metal from your motherboard, you know, all the circuitry and all that stuff touching the metal of the PC case, that's bad. That's bad. And as a pro tip, I do recommend you using pliers to make sure that these are properly tightened, because the last thing you want to do is screw these in, right? So you have the motherboard, you place it down, you screw these in, and then when you're trying to then, say a year from now or whatever, take these out, if this wasn't screwed in properly onto the PC case, suddenly these are spinning along with the screw. And so when you take off the motherboard, suddenly you have this standoff or 5 standoffs. I've seen all kinds of crazy things that are stuck to the motherboard. And then you're gonna have to wish you had a third arm, basically trying to unscrew this, hold the motherboard upright or like on a table or something, and then like with a wrench like this, clamping it down, trying to unscrew it. It's a mess, right? I've never been there, right? So the best thing, do it right. Make sure all of these standoffs are very tight onto your motherboard, because once you have the motherboard that you know you need, you'll know where they need to be. And you'll never need to change this unless you completely change the size of your motherboard. And even then, I'll say 9 times out of 10, a lot of these screws or standoffs are going to be the same anyway. So let's now move this and show you how to properly put your motherboard on here. Now again, this is the MSI Meg X670E Ace. and it's beastly and heavy. Now you'll notice that there's a bunch of open holes here. So there's actually 9 of them, and I guess it's probably easier to show you this way. So there's actually 9 holes here, right? And so those are just going to line right up with the standoffs, very simply. There we go. Now, if I were to, there we go. If I were to install this with this upright, with this particular motherboard, it would actually stay there. It would stay up and down as well, which is pretty cool because it makes it nice and easy for certain instances where you don't want to tip over your PC case. So for me personally, 9 times out of 10, when I'm installing a motherboard, the PC case is upright because I'm doing other things as well. I'm just sliding in the motherboard and screwing it in. And these are really nice because you can just kind of slap it in there, it'll stay, but you still need to screw it down. Now, you can use different types of screwdrivers. You'll see a lot of these style of screws everywhere for installing the motherboards. You don't want to be too strong with these, I guess I'll say. You have 9 of these going in, and so they don't need to be like wrenched down or anything. And you don't want to do that because you don't want to break the PCB of your motherboard as well. So I do tend to like these electronic screwdriver type of things. This one is Fantix, I believe. Yep, Fantic, there you go. I'll put a link in the description if you want. I've liked it. Charges by USB-C. And then there are other types of screws as well. I've seen people use different screws other than what they're supposed to use for these. So I'm not going to waste time screwing all these in right now, but you will have screws like these. These are the fan screws for like the PC case. Typically you will use the ones that just come with the fans that you bought. Then you have little tiny screws that look like they probably should go on the motherboard, but a lot of these are for like hard disk drives, all right, or SATA SSDs. And you know, that's kind of a dying art using hard disk drives and SATA SSDs, but you know what happens. But then you have these big boys here, and these typically are for cases or like for screwing down GPUs or other peripherals into these slots right here. These are really nice, hence captive thumb screws. I think this is from Paul's Hardware, his merch store. So support your creators, content creators. And so overall with this, just make sure you're using your standoffs on your PC cases. Make sure that you are screwing them down tight enough so that when you are eventually unscrewing everything, they're not going to come off the PC case as well. So that's about it. Straightforward video today, and more to come because I'm sure you're curious as to what the heck this is going to be going on. And yes, it is PC water cooling. So we'll get into that. All right. So if you like this video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Very basic video, but you'll be surprised who is not aware of standoffs. They're very, very important. You don't want to electrocute yourself. You don't want to burn down the house and all that good stuff. So stay safe out there. It's the basics. All right. Peace.